Hello everybody and welcome back to a new episode of the TSTT Tea Time. I'm your host Mirko and hope you're having an awesome day today. We're doing a kind of surprise stream. And why is that so? Well, I was trying to do the switch from my installed app to the app on the Google Play Store. Although it is on currently on alpha, so closed alpha, you cannot see it if you're not in a specific list of emails that I provide. But when I was trying to do the switch, as we planned, I did the export and tried to also import everything again. Problem is, well, the problem is, let me just put this back. The problem is, because the default questions now have changed, my questions that I have on my real device here do not match the questions, and also the questions that I would export in particular do not match the questions that are there by default, which, and as you might remember, if I want to install the closed alpha version, I need to uninstall and also accidentally or incidentally delete all the data that I have, and then reinstall everything from the Play Store. So I start from zero. Which means I also need the questions, otherwise I lose some data. So, having noticed that, I basically had the idea, okay, I guess we do a stream now to edit our export functionality to also include the questions together with it. And that's exactly what we're up to, I suppose. Notes. Also, we got a new release of VS Code, which is nice. Apparently toggle between preferred light and dark themes. Oh, interesting. And what else? Git commit action button, configure default git commit action. Also not too terrible. Color theme tester. VS Code server preview, JavaScript source map 2 toggling. Debugging compiled rather than source code, and 3-ray merge editor. Okay, cool. Oh, new UI to search files, run commands, and navigate cursor history. Interesting. This seems to be not enabled, so good. So let's start the emulator up because we do need it, of course. Start here, emulator, please. Start. There it is. Start the server. And then we're getting into what we need to do is number one, the export with questions, the import with questions, and then also do redeploy, rebuild, and then we have to wait 20 minutes, and I suppose that's probably the end of the stream for today. Then I can do stuff that I actually wanted to do. So, where's my emulator? There it is. Open up. We do have this this export functionality, if you remember, which is currently fairly small. I suppose we just need to change the way, or the data that we do export. I think that should be all to fix this issue. Are we done here already? Can we? 6%? Come on now, come on. Of course we have tea with us. Woo! Today we have chamomile. Yeah, chamomile. Good against any kind of inflammations. Also fairly tasty. Unless you, at least for me, chamomile can be, it can be a taste that when you drench it for too long, I don't know, it becomes weirdish. So we have our app, we have our questions, we have our apparently German language currently. Let's switch to English so that everybody on stream can actually read this. So back we are to English. And now we can click export history, which is this function here, which triggers this one function in the press, which currently does just share.share, so share coming from React Native. And then this opens this dialog pop-up thingy, where you can just copy it to clipboard, or we can put it into an SMS, we can put it into Gmail. Most importantly, probably, we can put it into Drive, and Drive opens a dialog, kind of a new file wizard, where we then can save the history. So currently it's just a plain JSON. I think all we need to do something like this: history, comma, questions. Oops. Questions. And in the easiest version, this is empty array. So if we move this away, now we have questions is empty array, and then the history. Very good. Now we need to get those questions. And since we are already hooked up to Redux, and we have our questions slice somewhere, we can just get those questions. And that's it, I thinketh. So instead of giving us just the history from the store or from the state, we also get those questions via state.questions.questions in this case. And then we have to use them. That should be it, if I'm not mistaken. Export. There we go. Questions. Title, goals, ID is whatever this ID. Question long, did I do my best to set clear goals, and so on. ... Very nice. That's the export functionality done. Except that at the very least, we have to adjust the import to pick out the history component now. Otherwise, we now include a buggy version. The import looks very, very similar. We have this here, import history. Warning, this will permanently override your current history. Do we really want to import the history from clipboard? So you have to kind of copy it to clipboard, apparently. So if we do this now, it will fail. Ba-bam. And apparently the history was not changed. Statistics includes exactly one entry, probably. So we need to go to the import history thingy somewhere, probably this. And it validates things, and then it sets the history. Meaning, we can just change it ever so slightly, I think. So we validate it. We have a validation function. And currently it asks whether it's an array, which is not correctish. Instead, what we want, let's see, it is the format is now something like we can do maybe is export interface exported history, exported history questions, which should look like questions colon, not a string but an array of some objects. The to do, and an array history is also an array of stuff. Hey, Jidakan. Yeah, I am back indeed. The vacation was good. Kind of tiring to sleep on this very, very tiny couch. But I am back. I have more tea. How have you been doing? You missed the previous stream, that's fine. You're here now. That's all that matters. Living in the here and now. Today I'm fixing one smaller issue, but fairly important issue. When I was actually trying to do the migration, you're doing great. Very good. That's nice to hear. When I was actually trying to import, so switching to the kind of live-ish version, because we are now on the Play Store. Currently it's only in closed alpha, but we did manage to get into closed alpha, which is the important part, I think. That's like probably 80% of the way, at least in my head. And so when I was now trying to switch from the kind of custom installed standalone version that I've installed just via USB debugging, or like directly from my PC onto my phone, when I was trying to switch, so the reason why we built all the export and import functionality was to enable me to actually do the switch. Because all the history and so on will be deleted. And I actually have to uninstall the version that I have currently installed and then install the version from Play Store. And you cannot just update one with the other, unfortunately, due to signature security reasons from Play Store, which makes absolute sense, I would say. So that's why we've built this export functionality to export our history. The problem is, in the meantime, I changed the default questions. So now when I would export the history, I do not actually have the correct questions. So these questions have changed ever so slightly, and currently the picture is still wrong. These questions have changed, so I would still lose some degree of my data when I do the import and export now, which is why we are currently now fixing the import-export to also include these questions and not just the plain data for the history. That's the idea. We did already do the export for the questions, which was just, well, we have our export button. It looked like here, like this. So far, we basically just said, well, on press of this button here, use this share functionality, and as data, put in the history. And now we are just taking additionally the questions, and that's it. The problem is, this of course breaks the interface with the import functionality. So what I now need to do is to also change the import functionality. Let me do this. We can, valid is a boolean, I think. Yeah, that's a boolean. This won't work. GitHub Copilot. This won't work. But what we can do is, so if this is valid, we can now do a const imported is json.parse is the text. Come on, there. And now imported, we have to validate that it's actually proper, but we should be able to do something like this now. And imported is now of type exported history and questions. I'm looking still for a better name for this. We cannot call it export. Why does it not work? History. Ah, yeah, because it's not assignable. This type here. Can we just say this is a history? Is that a thing? No. No. That works. Can we say this is questions? No. Questions state at questions. That's it. Okay, we have our type. Events. So this is now a questions array, and this is a history. You can also call this questions array. Suppose if we have this. Apparently we don't. Well. And now TypeScript is happy here. We do have to change the validation though, because if I do this, it will always fail currently. So now import it, the validation functionality. Smartest pilot ever. Well, yeah, he typically is very, very smart. Smarter than me, maybe, probably. Depending on the definition of smartness. Imported now needs to have, if not, imported dot history. Oh, this may fail, does it? Question mark. Dot history. Then throw new error. No history property found. And then we can start validating history. Imported history. We can try to make this into a partial exported whatever he says. Now TypeScript helps us. So why do I make this into a partial? Because TypeScript now helps us ever so slightly. It's not quite correct, to be honest. So this is a desired type, but needs to be validated. So except for the partial. So now this is definitely valid in terms, or TypeScript thinks this is definitely valid, and it definitely is defined. So if we remove this function, this does not error. But history might not actually exist on this object, which hopefully is an object. And we might as well do something like is plain object from Lodash checks if value is a plain object, that is an object created by the object constructor or one with a prototype of null. I think that should work. I hope. Import it. Otherwise, throw new error. Not an object. Now, We know imported is indeed an object from now on. Still want this one. So we can first of all fix this, but TypeScript still thinks that history is definitely defined now, which is not the case. So we might want to put in instead partial, which means all the properties that this exported history and questions has, so questions and history, they become optional. They might also be undefined here, basically. That would be the definition of a partial exported history and questions. As you can we see this maybe? If I say type X is partial of the exported history and questions, this should be exactly what we will see here. It does add the question mark. There's a very tiny difference between writing this and adding the question mark. Question mark meaning it's optional. And here it might actually be the value undefined. So this is actually the better explanation than what I was giving. So now we import this thingy. We know we can parse it because we try to parse it. We check that it is an object indeed. We check that the history property actually does exist, and then we check whether it's an array. And from there on, we can check whether every entry inside of the history is some historic entry. Function name here. We might also rewrite this as this, which is slightly more readable, because it's now like a sentence almost. The imported history, every is historic entry. It would be nice if this said something like every entry is historic entry, because then it's almost an English sentence, but well, we cannot do much about the language. It's about the inbuilt JavaScript language. I think with this, we kind of fixed the import-export. So now if I export this ever so slightly, maybe currently we have one selected. Let me export this. So this is the complete export. It's surprisingly large. We have one within the selected time frame. That's important. We have actually much more. And so if I just take this here, and now we see up here also the questions. Let me maybe format this. Thank you. We see up here the questions now, together with their state, if they are active or not. And then we have the history. Perfect. Exactly what we want. Let us just add one entry down here, and we say this is 16s. 6. And we say, well, everything is perfect, so we give ourselves some nice values. And now I can hopefully import this from history. And then we should see 2 entries here in the last 7 days. Let's do it. Import history. Confirm. Import failed still. Then what went wrong? What went wrong? I guess we now have to step into it. Oh, wow. Oh. Okay. That's all right. Developer tools. And then oh, damn it. I haven't used the debugger for a long time. Apparently things broke in variant validation. The local dev server is run from the wrong folder. Check if Metro is running. Stop it and restart it. Oh. Let's try to restart. Otherwise we have to do the good old console log. Are you currently working on a project, Peter? Does not seem to be loading. Now it's loading. It keeps failing. Okay. I guess then we stop the debugging. Stop debugging. Stop it. And it on Android. Currently working on a mobile application to data from collateral API. Collateral. What does collateral management mean? Collateral management. I'm always interested in seeing what people are working on. There's a very nice book called Range. I actually got introduced to by not personally, but thanks to Twitch. By one of the main architects of AWS. He was kind of holding a stream or a guest in one of those AWS streams here on Twitch, and in the back he had this book lying, and one of the people asked. And it's one very interesting book because it takes the opposite approach to the specialized world. Everybody basically says you need to do your specific expert of export stuff. And this book basically takes this idea but actually reverts it into, well, sometimes it's good to have generalists. And it does resonate with me a lot. So would go borrow from the bank, usually you have to leave some collateral. Ah, that kind of collateral. I see. Interesting. So search data from collateral. Interesting. So you can basically check what kind of items have been placed as collateral. Is that the thing? The idea? Ah, sweet. The one back. My important window. And then go back. And do the console log thingy. Console.log parsed. Here we say is plain object. Here we say history exists. And from then on, let's see whether we get this far. There's a app. You can know what institutions or individuals are tied to what collateral. Oh, very nice. So what's the long-term goal of this? Or is there a long-term goal? Or are you just, is it for learning mainly? Like some, I don't know, secondary market trades of collaterals maybe, or I don't know. Or evaluating what kind of collaterals are rare and what kind of collaterals are more common, and so on. I mean, I can see a lot of applications. I can see a lot of applications. The Central Bank of Mozambique. Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Sweet. Hope that turns out well. Export history. Copy. Import history. Confirm. Paste. So it does get parsed, but the plain object is apparently wrongish. Plain object is apparently wrongish. What is the prototype of imported? Console.log proto imported dot proto. Can we not get that? Get prototype of? Is that a thing? Let's see. I did already. Let's. Oops, my bad. History. Object. First mobile application, learning mobility. That's always the best way of learning, I think. It's always the best way of learning. It is kind of a very large project to learn from, but well, you learn with experience, right? You grow with the experience, and as long as you will always keep learning. So why not do it? Do it in an important project. So prototype is object. What does is? Oh, I forgot the if not. Oh man. Silly me. Instead of doing all the console logs, I should have just done this, right? Console.log error. And now we see history exists. Wait, that's not an error. Did it just work now? Now it worked. I think it worked. So first fixing it and then showing how to do the other way. Doesn't work. So this time I'm currently still think we have only one dailies, and now I copied our customized version where we have the 16th, so today, insider there, and then we do the import from clipboard, and the clipboards are shared in this case. So we can do import, history imported successfully. We should now see two values. There it is. And I did set everything to 10 here. And these are string answers, so they are not displayed. This. Very nice. That worked. That worked. So now that means, oh, interesting. That's part of the new VS Code update apparently. So now we can include all of these. We do have to change the testing though. I think all of these are now wrong. Oh boy, will be fun. So now we need to do colon history. And these need to be strings as well. Okay. Where's the colon? There it is. Okay. Works. So history and close and history and close and history and close and history and close the object. Trans false for an empty string. Okay. Test. Oh. We only have one test. Hey. I expected end of JSON input. That's indeed unexpected. Also from me. Why? So 6 passed, 1 failed. Which test failed? Returns true for an empty array string. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, okay. So this one also needs to be history, colon, empty array, and then this. And we do need to change the outer parent quotes to this type. Done. Or alternatively, we would have had to change the other one. You have tips on how to name unit tests. Interesting that we still get. That's fine. I'm just logging. I'm currently logging the errors, so we can remove all of these console logs. Maybe this would help. Let's name it connection. Yeah. So there is one thing that I often turned to. Was it Mocha or Kai? Mocha JS. So instead of that's one version. There are a couple of tips. So the general idea, first of all, is, what is it? Declarative and the naming. Is it declarative? Oh god. It's been a while. Yeah. So you often see this, it should do this and that. And yes, I think that's definitely one good start, and in particular if your project uses this form, then that helps, and I would stick to it. I think this is just the longer version of this, and since I'm a mathematician, for me this is like a how do you call this? Like a logical sentence. And a logical sentence is either true or false, and I want all of them to be true. So for me, it returns true for an empty array has the value true or false, and I want it to be true. So the should is implicit for me. What you otherwise see, if you're looking into more, also welcome Homeless back to the stream. Good to see you. What you see a lot of times is, let me see, when X, then Y, basically. There's a little more to it. Let me see. There is similar to this form. So basically the AAA pattern is what it's called inside then. So it's arrange, act, assert. And the other version of it is when something is the way it is, then I do something, then do X, or if when something is X, if I do Y, come on, too much autocompletion, then I expect Z, this pattern. So I'm not sure how it's called anymore. It's basically the same idea of arrange, act, assert. But you see this in things like, I think, Cucumber framework or Gherkin, or Cypress, I think, if I remember correctly. So kind of more on the end-to-end oriented side instead of unit tests. But it still applies to unit tests, I think. On my previous project, I was taught about the difference between it and test. Because there is a slight difference, at least, well, sometimes, it versus test naming. Do I find this? Update July 21. Meanwhile, blah 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 blah. There is a slight difference. Why? Here they explain you why you should. It does get repetitive, but it said it forces writers to think in the correct way, so it can be good for novices. The Jest website, maybe they do. Jest test versus it. So there's definitely a couple of people who write about it and ask about it. Naming tests. Naming your should versus given when then. That's what I was referring to. So not this. This is given when then. That's the correct one. So I have this person asks, I have two tests in my test group. One of the tests uses it and the other one uses test. Both of them seem to be working very similarly. What's the difference? So in terms of Jest, they are aliases, yeah. But they do have semantically slightly different connotations. Right. This I think this is the one that I've seen. They do the same thing, but their names are different and they have different connotations. So test if it does this thing, test if it does this other thing, but it should do this and that. It should do that and that. So that's the idea behind this person's idea, at least. And it does have well, an okayish amount of upvotes. In the end, I would stick with what your company probably uses if it's functionable and does provide the right way of thinking. I only use it, I think, and very, very, very rarely I use test. Test is I find it to be slightly too general. Right. I have a link from the test naming. Yeah, this looks very good. Test name should express a specific requirement. Absolutely agree. Could include the expected input or state and the expected result for that input. I try to do that in particular when you have multiple different or very kind of, you test the same thing. You test the same thing, and then you still want to. You don't want 5 tests to have the same name, right? Otherwise, A, you will not be able to navigate, and B, you will be like, okay, this has the same name as that one. What's the difference? And there it's good. Like I often use this for or if instead. So here it is. It returns true for what input? Okay. Output, input, and then basically, again, this is given when is in this case the file of the file name, because I only have one function. It is always about when I use validate imported history string, so I stopped writing it. Some people still use this describe, and depending on the framework, for example, Mocha then gives you a better outline. Jest does not. So that's why when I use Jest, I dropped this describe at some point. But when I use Mocha, I still use the describe. I think you even have to. Then you see basically this import validation up here, or like we currently see. Returns that, returns that, returns that. All right, thanks for the question. Does it help? Maybe also the link from Homeness seems to be really good. Should be presented as a statement or fact of life that expresses workflow and outputs. Would include the name of the tested methodon. By the way, so since this is only one function I'm testing, I think it suffices to have it in the test name. If I would test the class with multiple functions, then I sometimes, well, depending on how you test, I often write something like this. Class dot as a header, and then I have another describe for my class dot something different. Which again gives it. There are also some ideas, but who told me about those? You're doing more. You can do more testing on the integration level, kind of. Within one class, you kind of have scenarios instead of testing input-output, which is also not terrible, but it does need. You do need to change your thinking ever so slightly, I think. Maybe it does provide better tests. Maybe it doesn't. I don't. So this seems to be working. Let's put it into Git. So this is fix number 1. Settings. Export with questions. And now we need to import the questions as well. Import validation. Import history. Paste the text. Get the string async. Validate imported history string. And I don't know, we might as well just do validate imported questions string. Okay, right. Valid. Questions valid. And this would become history valid. It will include some degree of duplication, I think, but I suppose that's fine. Doing it in one function would be more complicated, I think. So that's why I think import questions. Ah, yeah, I did apply, but they never got back to me. After all I've done for them. Nah, well, I don't know. They didn't admit me to the test program, unfortunately. I did apply, but they so far haven't gotten back to me. So I'm still waiting. Maybe they do allow me to. Not sure why this uses camel case now, but well. Oh, wrong file, wrong folder. There we go. So, for validation, I think we can pretty much copy and paste this, and we can import this. Import string, maybe. We do a little bit of double checking, but now we becomes questions. No questions property found, and then we get into this little thread. So an array questions is question. Mailbox with a header, welcome to Amazon. my mailbox is actually free. But it might be in my spam. That's true. No, unfortunately not. Nothing. But I do delete all of the spam stuff. Delete forever. Goodbye, spam. Yeah. Fortunately, nothing from Amazon yet. Yeah, why did I do that? I don't know. So these are the ones that are large with .tsx are definitely components. the ones that are functions or plain TypeScript files without classes inside, those I, for whatever reason, name with a hyphen. Camel case, yeah, kebab case. But there's no right, like, specific rule behind it otherwise. More like, well, components are classes, or classes are things, so they are, in German you write them with capital letters. In fact, inside of the language, the regular language, like you would use capitals for names and so on in English, capital letter. That's how you do it just for any noun, in fact, in German. So that kind of fits this idea of a thing doing something. But these are just functions. And I don't know why, but in that case, I sometimes write them like that. We could do something like this, maybe. Validator.s. And use that one, which is absolutely an option. But I'm not sure what would be the benefit of that. So that's why currently I'm using this minus notation. There's no real super important reason to doing so. Apparently this needs to be renamed. Save. Take that one. And if the history is valid and the questions are valid, then do all of this. Then we have to do some more to do. Set questions. But let's look at the functionality for validating the questions. And I do think testing this is useful again. Because last time we had like so many, or I made so many freaking errors that, well, I think the testing is more than useful. So we take something like that. We do stuff, and I don't want to have unknown here. And I do need question. Question is there. That's weird. I want question here. There it is. Oh. Now, return true. Absolutely happy. Now we need to actually write the actual functionality. So, and again, there are libraries to do that. Wouldn't need to do all of this ourselves if we wanted to. Yeah, once I write the third one, I think we pull in the library. Tests look pretty much the same. Maybe we can do test-driven development now. Let's try to do that. Import question validation. And this function also then needs to be called validation. So we need import questions validation, and we need the other function which is called like this. Take all of those, and there we go. Now this will be wrong. Let's take all of those. This will be wrong anyway, so what we need is questions. And it should kind of return true. Should it? No, this should be false. If you do not have any questions, there's nothing that we can show, and I think that should be false in this case. Basically, oh my goodness, broken. Is node still running? Oh my goodness, broken. Oh, see? That help? Oh. That's good. So yeah, this page will not work if we do not have at least one question. But what does actually happen if we... Oh. 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 I think we can break our app. Oh. Oh. What if we delete every question? Archive in the... Oops, that was the wrong button. Okay, I guess we take that as a bug. But handle empty questions either by disallowing archiving all questions, or what is our alternative? Having a fallback screen for statistics and dailies. I think disallowing is the way that I want to go. It just makes life so much easier. For example, there we go. Okay, now we don't have any questions anymore. Great. Let's reset the app. For stop, yes. Storage and cache, clear the storage, open the app again. Okay, now we learned a new thing. Next, we want to write this import function. And we wanted to use test-driven development. So currently, this should work. J, T, W, I think, or yarn test watch. Do I have this set up? I don't know. And test minus watch, maybe. I think that's it. Okay. So that's already false. So returns false for an empty array string is not working, meaning I think it does not suffice to just check that it is an array and that every question is a question, because every for empty array will return true, whatever is inside, because it does not have anything. So I think we need just yet another line here, which says something like imported dot questions dot length, or maybe we can just use this empty from Lodash, which is, I find it to be slightly more impressive. There's missing. This is there much. That should do it. Now we're green. Yay! Next one. It returns true for a good history string, but we do want something similar for good questions value. Oh. Questions. And we do have one here, right? From here to there. I do want to stringify this kind of. So note JSON.stringify of yes, pasted this, copy from here to I think there. We might get rid of a couple of these. I mean, why should we need so many? For example, happiness. Who needs happiness? Positive relationships. Who needs positive relationships? Engagement. Who needs engagement? And then like so, I think. Maybe one more we can remove, like this. This should still be valid, I hope. Isn't a valid object? I hope so. Sure hope. So JSON.parse. Yeah, it's a valid object. Rather detect create app with login register at items and reader. It depends on the service that you're using. So just creating is fairly simple if you are using a service like Firebase authentication. Firebase being supported by Google, basically their mobile app framework. With this, it's fairly easy to put in something like login with Google. So that's one version which allows you to do it. Like login with Google, login with Facebook, login with Twitter, and so on. But also custom stuff. Doing it for the first time takes a bit of time, of course. You gotta get into it, you need to understand what Firebase actually is, and so on. If you build everything yourself, I would not do it. That's it. Building it once is fine, but you have to keep up with security. And security is a never-ending game. Definitely, I would always say use some kind of service. You don't want to be responsible for a kind of data leakage because of, I don't know, a very, very tiny thing because you didn't update your MD5 to SHA-256, or you didn't update SHA-256 to SHA-5 something, 512, 16. You probably don't want to be in the position of always having to maintain those security, to stay on top of security. It's just a red race that you're fighting windmills, kind of. So I would always choose something like Firebase authentication. I've been working with Cognito, AWS Cognito, which I think allows a bit more customization than Firebase, but don't quote me on that. It does a lot of stuff together with the AWS framework, and since I'm kind of more in the Amazon framework, this is definitely an option. There are more of these guys. There's also stuff like keycloak, spelling, which I have not used, but it's basically you host it yourself and you only have to do the updates, I think, which is at least better than doing it yourself, and you still have a lot of control over it. And there are probably similar alternatives to keycloak. There are probably Auth0 is definitely one of the. Auth0 makes it very, very simple. On the other hand, they cost a bit more. Microsoft Azure Active Directory, in fact, I think it's in external identities, what they call. That's basically the same as the two Cognito and Firebase authentication. For Azure, there are a lot of those services, and I would stick with one of those and not build them yourself. You don't want to be responsible for the security. It's just so frustrating. So, I mean, just the other day, I updated the awesome app that I've developed. And man, there are just already so many freaking security updates to be done. And it's just a very, very tiny JavaScript app. Ugh. And now I'm being actually responsible for managing the passwords of other people. I'm not even doing that. I'm not even doing that. And I don't even have a login inside of there. And it's already terrible. So yeah, you got my warning at least. Let's say it like that. So let's see whether this one works. I think it does work because our whole functionality says return true. It's kind of cheating. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So the cheated version does work. Now we get into the function which actually does something different. If I put questions here, returns false for history string with invalid answer value type. Like this. Invalid answer value. Okay. For questions string with invalid, let's see, invalid type. So here to there, from here to there, but then and the type currently being points. Well, let's just invalid title type. Would be 5, 3. There might be a let's maybe do it like this. Invalid title 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to. Oh no, that doesn't work. No. Are you not happy? Oh, that didn't. Okay. Backtick there, backtick there, and then we put this inside of here, invalid title, so that it's clear what actually is what's the variable part here. And this should be false, and it is true. Oh, surprise, surprise. If a function just returns true, well, it cannot be false most of the time. Yeah. You're welcome. We now want the first one. It needs to have a title property. So let's do this one first. That's wrong. If it is a plain, if it is not a plain object, or the object is empty, this one, or the object is empty, then throw return false. So we can actually throw the error. Throw return false. And from then on, we can say something like if not object dot title or type of object dot title. Why do you complain? Is still type unknown. Okay. Const O is obj as some key value pair. O title is equal to string, and we want not, then return false. Or where that's empty. Okay, there should be a value. Or O dot title is equal. Then this should give us true. Yeah, there we go. Oh, false in this case. Fix our test. The next one for invalid ID type. Maybe we just call this invalid. Invalid string here, goals, ID, invalid, 3. Dot ID. Can we? I think we can improve that, right? So key in question. No, that was not possible. Not a thing. Key of, yeah, there we go. Now O has actually all of these properties. Actually also only want those properties. Yeah. So first of all, this one, dot ID, and I think we need to, since we're doing test driven, we need to first see it fail, and now we need to fix it, and there we go. Then let me just take a short note here. Not throw new error. Not all questions are valid if tag unique IDs. That's also one more. Next one, question long. Question long can actually be empty string. invalid, take this ID. And we should again. Oh, what have I done? Oh, I'm not returning anything. Return. So now we expected false in return false for invalid ID. I forgot. Ah, that's a problem with copy and paste. You have to you have to remember all the fun stuff, all the changing all the strings. So now invalid question long type is currently true, so we have to add it. Question long. And one thing that I do want returns true for an empty question long. So there we go. Oops. Long. Go. And this should be true. It is indeed false. Oh, we made one important mistake. Because we don't even know whether the base string is valid. And indeed it isn't. Is it? No, maybe it is. Returns true for a short question. So if I put a title here of goals, oh, in fact, false. So we have something in the original string. So everything will just be false. Which kind of ruins the whole point of the test, right? What is broken then? That's the big question here. Active true, object finished. This up. Then array finished. Then whole object finished. So this should be true. Right. You should be gone. Okay. All right. The original string is indeed valid. Now we know. And in fact, we can change these quotes. Next. Returns true for an empty question long is empty string currently. This will not quote the empty string, right? So I need to put in, I think, this. Yeah. If the previous version, basically it just removed this, which means this is a broken JSON. And that's why it was false. Now it's really putting in the empty string. So I don't know. Maybe putting this here is even easier to understand in this case, because the text is so clear. Green, very good. Next one. Active true. Turns false for a question string with invalid active type. So for example, we invalid right here. 3. Value 1. long. Copy this one from above. Where did it go? Save, and it should be false. If the type of o.active is not Boolean, then return false. Did we skip one? I think we did, right? It should be like 5 of these guys. Points. Do the invalid thing again. Invalid. I think we do need the quotes again here. Active true. And invalid, we just say test or not a type for invalid type. Or silly. But the property is named already type, so what am I supposed to do? I guess we call it type. Oh. Ah, that's a JavaScript line. Okay. And then we need here, and we call you type. If type is not string and or o dot wait. It's not string, return false. Yeah, okay, that's done. Then if type of o dot type, no, o dot type, we have like points, we have what is the other one? Full text, I think. So it includes and false again, and we need a not. Here this is valid types, answer types. Maybe that's the better way to phrase it here. So invalid answer type. And this is an array of what exactly? Question. And array of them. Oh, I hate this part about the. This is pretty annoying in terms of TypeScript. That if you have a string little array and you use include, the include does not allow you to put anything inside that is wider than that. Yes, we have to use a string array here, or we could just remove it up here. Suppose I do the. I want to leave this so I do not do any mistakes up here. So I have to use something like this up here, or alternatively ignore the type down here. That's the alternative. Green, green, green. Sure. Morty. We don't even have tests for this. true. Points. Didn't I write a test for answer type? There it is. Oh, okay. Turns. So true for a question string with points answer type. I think we already have one, right? This is kind of a duplicate, but since these are only two values, I think I ignore the duplication and just accept it. Full text. There we go. It doesn't take much time after all. Oh, that's true. Needs to be true. 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 And maybe we put in here type full text type points type, and we agree. Right? Is that all we need? What else do we have? Returns false for history string with non-integer answer value. I think we can ignore that one. Integer answer value below 1, we can also ignore that one. Above 10 also. Returns false for an empty string. I think we can include that one. It should just be true. But that's already down here. And now we also need to check uniqueness of IDs. Returns false for non-unique a question string with non-unique IDs. So a non-unique. Let's use ID again here. Pattern. SDF a SDF. Non-unique. And we need one more value inside here. Maybe we can import it from somewhere. Here. Progress quest. From here to there. Comma, from here to there. And then we put in the ID here once again. Currently this should return true still. See if true. But we can easily write the functionality not have true. So we can use unique, which comes from Lodash. We can use something like unique by, in fact. That's easier. Yeah. And then we check whether the original length of all the questions is the same length as the uniqueified IDs. And be aware that IDs are strings. That's why we can use the just regular unique by. Hello there, the sun, Dayali Code. Good to see you. The sun is shining exactly on top of my second screen. Good to see you. How are you doing? That's why it's hard to see here. Every ID unique ramps or unique ID if a non-unique ID exists, return, throw in a new error again. Here we go. And that should fix it. Yeah, there we go. Did it run? Hope it ran. 20 tests now. And I'm fairly confident that this is now more or less correct-ish. There might be, well, it's not 100% super, right? You could, for example, you could provide a string that is way too long for our storage to actually handle. But well, that's life. I don't think people do that, and if they do, well, it's their problem, I think, at least for now. It is a React Native app, so React.js is correct. In this case, React Native. An app where, why is it all of a sudden in bright mode? Every evening I'm asking myself a couple of questions, like for example, did I do my best to set clear goals today? And then I give myself a number between 1 and 10, and 0 is 10, in fact. So for example, yeah, we did really good, well. My numpad is not working. So we give ourselves a 10. Did I do my best to make progress towards my goals today? Yeah, that's awesome. A 6. And then you kind of recap how your day went. You answer all these questions. In this case, a custom question, even in terms of what was my personal highlight. Have a great community around. Thanks. Thank you. And then you see a summary. And basically doing this every day, the idea is that, well, doing this kind of retrospective and reflecting on your actions of that day will probably improve you. So it's a self-improvement app. The basic idea comes from Marshall Goldsmith in his book Triggers, who's a leadership coach. He worked with a couple of major clients. I think even part of that was one of the United Nations secretaries. It's not an easy job, I think. Yeah, and it's coming to the Play Store soonish. Currently it's in closed alpha. We're working on it very rapidly, in fact. Daily questions, and soon to be there. And it doesn't collect any data, in fact, about you. I look forward to that. Currently we're working on improving or kind of fixing the import-export functionality, because I do have this on my phone already, and I'm doing these questions every day. I had the same question the other day. I do not know Flutter. I do already have a React Native app in the App Store, so I was aware of what I'm getting myself into. This nice little app, awesome app, Daily Motivation. It did change its name, by the way. Do they? It's also really easy to get into the Play Store compared to collecting data. Oh Jesus, you don't want to know how many hours days, weeks I've spent on this app, because it does collect data, and in the end it doesn't have any people who actually use it. Yeah, fun stuff. But I did learn a lot. In fact, I developed the app to learn React originally. Who asked me about Flutter and React Native the other day? We'll check. Return finally finished. Build and deploy packages to solid.js. Link document. Congratulations. Good job. High five to you. Grab some tea and enjoy the stream. So we have the validation now. I think that should be it. Do we already use the? We don't use it yet, right? I think we don't use it. But we should already see kind of its implications now. So if we, for example, have this questions here. History currently empty. Did I reset everything? Apparently. If I set title to 1, 2, 3, I should fail to import. Import failed. Imported history, this string is apparently wrong. Importing history from clipboard failed. Please make sure your copied history string is valid. Existing history was not changed. Let's try again. And that one just works, the valid one. So we need to put in the functionality and set those questions. So we now have, we're back kind of in the functionality that gets called when you click confirm. Inside of this import history component, we have this handle confirm button. We get the string from clipboard, so the history. It is the import functionality is very, very simple in that it just assumes you have copied the string that you want to import to your clipboard. Then it checks whether the history is valid. It also checks whether the questions are valid. And then, if both are valid, well, if not, it sets an error. If both are valid, it sets the history, and now we need something like set questions. And then we say questions, object questions, imported.questions. And then we set success, and then we're good, I think. So, set questions need to come from outside, and I think we want this to be inside of Redux, in fact. Questions slice. We have add question, we have edit, we have archive, we have move, so you can reorder your questions, and now we want just set questions. And in fact, it looks pretty much like this. Put in questions here. Okay. And the functionality is as simple as state.questions equals that. Done. Tests are still running, no need to. So let's try. Currently, if I look at my customized questions, I see goals and I see progress. If I go here and I call this instead of goals, I call it goals. Or goals, maybe. Copy it to clipboard. The clipboard is shared. Confirm. Unhandled promise reject. Not good. Unhandled. Oh, the server. Is the server not running? Can't find variable set questions. We need to import it. Or at first, before we import it, we need to export it. Set questions from the slice. Now we can import it, save. Let's reload the app just to be on the safe side. And now, yes, thank you. see goals here. Ignore the virtualized list error. Import history. Import. Imported successfully. We should see. Wrong one. Goals! We did it! Whoop, 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 whoop. The new dance. It's called the tea time. Yeah! That deserves another high five, I think. Or maybe some fire! Which you can, by the way, also use. I don't know, do I have a commands command? Did I set that up? Did I set that up? Is it up to date? Architecture, commands, GitHub. Yeah, at least part of them should work. If you want to check those out. Get some fun. You can also make it snow, exclamation mark snow, or exclamation mark stars, I think. And I think we're good. We need to change the text slightly. We can already stage some stuff. This fun stuff. Stage that fun stuff. What is pretty cool here is, because we're using Redux and we have this very, very precise and formalized way of saving our state and propagating our state. All of the changes are actually kind of automatic. We change it at one end and it just propagates to all the other places. Pretty much. Or at least pretty well. Let's put in a version. It's kind of 13.0. I mean, well, we can do that a little bit. So we have all of these. One thing that I do want to do is rename this into import history validation test. And this one needs to be import history validation.ts and save everything. So, why are these three files? Okay, yeah, the import. So, all of those, we might need to restart the server. Now, history dialog something. Here we go. So, I think we need to change a couple of localizations or strings now. Import history and export history becomes different translations. Import history become import questions and history. They're not linked up. And export as well-ish. Note, come on, you can do it. No, my tea is almost empty. Gotta get ready. Yes, hello friend. Export questions and history. Maybe. Do we just leave it with import question? Import history? Well, it does import question and history, so we should probably use both. Right? Lauf und Fragen. Wait, did I just the light mode on dark mode screen? This one, maybe? I'm not sure. You've seen the that was from Expo. That was the Expo Go model that you've seen, I think. Can I reload? Yeah, this one. This is from Expo. Since this is your first time opening Expo Go, we wanted to show you this menu and let you know that in the simulation you can press Control M to get back to it at any time. Yeah. I do have one modal, unfortunately, apparently. That is, I don't know. I think this is the bright mode. I've never seen a dark mode modal for a dark mode time picker, I think. I can't remember at least. Supposedly this should be like dark or themed by the library itself, but I don't know. I've never seen it actually work. Well, it does pick the. We cannot unfortunately provide the translations here. In fact, this one definitely changes with the operating system. I haven't found any way around that, unfortunately. But yeah, but these date pickers are fairly linked with the Android operating system at least. In any event, Thanks for the hint. There might have been a bug. Oh man, this is way too long. German is terrible in that the words are so long. I mean, look at it. Well, here, this on my real phone, I don't think this even shows. It's cut up here. Yeah. I hope this is okay-ish. Let's not use and use this ampersand. That at least makes it slightly smaller. And Reiki. Where's my Japanese input? That one. Oh. Small. Did I call it Shitsumon? Yes, I did. Okay. And here as well. On the other hand, Japanese is super short. Look at it. It's also super tiny, I find. And very hard to read already. Very, very compact. And Chinese is even more compact, I think. But I cannot speak Chinese, so not that I can write it and translate. But maybe if one of you guys can translate Chinese, since this is an open source project, you can. You are very much invited to provide, yeah, for example, translations or any kind of PRs to have the project. So, one part. Second, confirm import. Warning. This will permanently override your current history. So, probably want this one. Die sagst mir, wer schreibt dein und deine Fragen dauerhaft. Warte mal. 警告。この操作は現在の履歴と質問を上書きします。blah blah 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 blah. Warning, this will permanently override your current history and questions. Do you really want to import history and and questions from clipboard, blah blah. And then importing history and questions. Questions from clipboard failed. Please make sure you copied history, questions. Copied. It's just called history string, I guess. History string valid. Your existing history and questions were not changed. Here we can just say import successful. Next one. Hello. This is so long. Verlaufsstring. Gültig ist dein aktueller Verlauf. Und die Fragen. Und deine Fragen wurden nicht geändert. Import erfolgreich. And finally, clipboard keyとをインポートできませんでした。コピーした履歴と履歴ドリング Is that a word? I'm not sure. Yeah, apparently they call it string as well, the Japanese people. Just in Japanese writing. So in fact, this currently says sutoringu, which is the Japanese version for saying string. 現在の履歴や質問は変更せん。履歴は OK インポートは成功しました。Alright, I guess, I hope that's it. Running this will permanently override the current history and questions. Do you really want to import history and questions from clipboard? Sure, do it. Oh no, it failed. Importing history and questions from clipboard failed. Please make sure your typo, your copied history string, here's the R, is valid. The existing history and point question were not changed. Okay, I think that's it. Are we good? Are we good? I think we're good. Let's just pretend we're good. Then with that, we can say this is a feature. Well, no, in fact, it's a fix. In fact, it's a fix. Import with questions. Import questions and go. Then we go to version and copyright. Version. So since I called this a fix, I will just do a .3 here. And then we need to go to app.json 3, and in fact I need, since I want to completely rebuild this, and then upload it also to... Do I want to? Yeah, I do want to. Anchor. I think I do. Yeah. I also changed all of these versions. So you might be wondering what all of this is. So basically, I'm just tracking for myself instead of using the package JSON thingy here. Because I do not have, or at least I don't know how to access this version inside of the actual app when it is when it has become an APK, for example, or I don't know what it's called on iOS. So that's why I track it inside of the app, and I also track it inside of here. I could, in fact, get access to this value from inside of the app, but can be annoying. Also, oftentimes this file doesn't even have to change, while you can still do a JavaScript update. There's still a difference between what we have here, what we have here. Sometimes, in this case, I want to keep it fairly together. And then you might be wondering what this is. This is specifically for Android. When you upload something to Google Play Store, you will have to give it some number of what version, and you cannot upload the same number twice. So I need to increase this number each time. But you can also just provide, I don't know. I think you need to increase it, but maybe you don't. It can just be any number, maybe. But it is required, and it blocks you, in fact, from submitting to the Play Store. You cannot upload the newest version if you have forgotten to change this number, and then you have to do a complete rebuild with Expo, which takes another 20 minutes until you until you can finally deploy to the Play Store. So that's why I'm doing it now. This is jaw, in fact, general v1.12.3, Android v11. Yeah. Did we forget anything? I think that's it. Did we forget anything? Local. That's fine. That's fine. Settings. Does work now, I hope. Copy. I can, for example, change this into golds again. Then import it and confirm. Import successful. Good, I guess. Means we can A, click this button, B, go to the README and say, so deployment, this command, but I do think I want something with minus channel. Yeah, profile production apparently. Ah no, the profile is implicit. So this, if your EAS, the build service from Expo, not even sure what it exactly means. Expo application service, maybe. Let's check. EAS, Expo application services. It allows you to, on the one hand, build, but it allows you to do a couple of things more. I'm mostly using it for building and then submitting to the Play Store, just with my CLI. And it uses this file EAS.json, where I describe what should happen when I use this production build. For example, should it have some environment variables additionally? And if I do use the submit command, what kind of release should it create inside of Android? Should it be already completed release, so you cannot change it anymore? Should it be in draft, so I can look at it again and edit stuff, and so on. By default, I think it uses production. It does seem to. Production. So I'm doing this now, and now, okay. This is available. Please upgrade. Yeah, let's do it. Package JSON, expo, CLI, CLI. Oh, EAS CLI. Okay, 0.55.1. Save. I think we also have a new expo version. Yeah. 5.5.1 currently. Take this. Install. Then that's done. And just call this one command, and then we have to wait 20 minutes for it to be finished. So yes, stop at that point. Draw steps. EAS CLI 0.55.1 and expose CLR 1. Back to, where was it? In my README, right? Do it. Do the thing. Maybe. Probably should not. Might not. No, everything seems to be fine. No need to be concerning credentials. And now this is running inside of here. It will build now. It will at some point spit out a version like I have before. For example, this is the 10th Android version, 1.12.2. Now we have 1.12.3. Yeah, now we just have to wait, and then I will install it again on my phone. Hopefully everything works and I can do the export, and then I finally install the version from our friend the Play Store. And if we're lucky, next week, in the middle of next week, I will probably push to public or open beta, and then 1 week after that to production. Yeah, production! Assuming that the review times from Google are within a fairly limited amount of time, of course. So that one's done. Handle the empty questions, probably something that we still want to do at some point. But with that, I think we're good. Ah, by the way, Jija, are you still there? If you are, you asked the other day for T-Wars. Very good. So, just for the lols, T-Wars. Can you see this on screen? I hope so. Yeah, there we go. This is a nice little game that we've developed, in fact, on stream. And we can play it together. So, as soon as I write, I think exclamation mark ambush, a monster will fall down on this side. And then we can fight this monster together. So everybody who's still there, please join by writing !attack and !join as soon as I wrote this command here. There we go. We're fighting her. So, !join. Yeah, you guys need to write !join or !attack also works, I think. And now, this is basically Final Fantasy. Up at the top, you see the health points of the enemy, the monster, the Kraken monster, and that's it. You also see the timeline, the ATB bar, if you've played Final Fantasy 8 or 7 or 9, or any one of the earlier ones. With !attack, you can attack. There's also !ice, there's !heal. So for example, add !add Yakan. Now I'm healing you. There we go. That should do the trick at least. And with !attack, you can attack like just a regular sword swing. !fire, you can. I guess I'm doing the heal. Yeah, !heal is kind of the version where you heal just everybody. Didn't do the fire. Did it do the fire? I'm not sure. Oh, now it's doing the ice thing. Did it do the fire? I didn't see it. I hope it did. Yeah, and then we together we try to fight this monster. So you can still join !attack into the chat and then probably do it again. We probably need some more heal here. So every time the monster attacks, and then we have another action. That's it for 12. So it's kind of the monster attacks, then we attack. The monster attacks, then we attack, and so on. You cannot do multiple actions per turn. At least not yet. Oh, nice hit! With the fire! I want to hear the music. Didn't I hear the music? Oh, it's playing the music, I'm not sure. Maybe it isn't. We killed it! We did it! Good job! We also have some fire! Nice! Very, very nice. Thank you for playing. So, when we built this, we actually had a complete back end running with persistence. So your progress actually got persisted. Currently you would have like 100 XP, and at I think 300 XP you gain a level up, which makes all of your heals, your attacks and so on stronger, and you might also have some more HP, I'm not sure anymore. But at the very least you get stronger, your character gets stronger. 3 fights, then 6 fights, 12 fights, and so on, like exponentially. Yeah, and that's the basic game. Currently I don't have the back end set up, but it is a lot of fun, in particular when more people join, and like 10 people try to fight this the monster. And we've built all of this on stream live, with the help of open source imagery, of course, because I cannot draw like that. Most of the music, I think, for the ending theme, all of that comes from Open Game Art. Maybe you know about that page, where depending on which license you choose, yeah, all of that you can. And that's it. That's the game, and it's a lot of fun, in particular when you have more people, right? So whenever you want, just put in the channel point redemption, the T coupons. Put in some T coupons, and we can play around. If you're like, oh man, I cannot follow the stream anymore, let's play around. I'm very happy to play with you guys. So, with that done, let's get rid of that. Next time, yeah, you can also do the have fun. Absolutely possible, and I love to see it when people do that. So thank you so much, Chicha. Next time, suppose we do the, I'm not sure, maybe I also do some more work off screen. Tomorrow I won't be streaming. Next regular stream is on Wednesday, 18 o'clock Central European Summertime. Wednesday. So with that, I thank you so much. Let's see whether we can rate somebody. Ooh, we're gonna rate somebody. Finite is out there. Finite is amazing. Check him out. I will probably be joining his stream as well. Knowing myself. Finite. What is he working on today? Probably on his work job. So you can see real life code. No, today he's doing something else. Okay. It's Saturday. All right then. Thank you so much for joining. Hope to see you next time in the TypeScript Tea Time. I'm your host Mirko. We will be rating finite singularity now. Say hi and take care, everybody. Bye. See you next time.